So hi everyone, we're in the next session again. This is Industry Keynote, and we're kicking things off with David Blevins from Tomitribe, and then we'll have other working group members doing their Industry Keynotes. So David, please take it away.
Sure. So hi, I'm David Blevins, CEO of Tomitribe and just longtime contributor to all things Apache. I did my first open source project that implemented EJB in 1999. So needless to say, this day has been pretty amazing to see Jakarta EE8 released. So, today is a very, very big day, but I kind of wanted to take us back and just kind of remind us of how far we've come and just to compare where that means we can go. So if we look back at 2004, that was the day. This is a big day year in Apache Software Foundation. We got a 10-year license to the Java EE TCK. So this hadn't happened before. It was actually three of us who got the ability to be licensees as open source projects. It was Apache, it was Object Web, and also JBoss got a TCK, although they had to pay for it. But that was kind of the first beginning of really truly certified open source. And in that 10 years, it seemed to have be the calling. It just brought all these.
And sometimes this is what happens when we go live. So let's just give David a chance to get back on the screen again. Yeah, so give us a second or two. Okay. And we're blinking. So let's just give it a minute for David to reconnect. It's probably connection on his end, but okay, we're glad that you're back, David.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is, but I seem to get like 2 minutes and then it's and then it cuts me. So I will attempt to continue where I was going. I don't know what the last thing what you heard, but basically, as of 2004, with Apache having the license to the Java EE TCK, it just brought a ton of projects into Apache, and we kind of had a little renaissance. So OpenJPA was, for example, donated by BEA, Derby, IBM, and we just had lots and lots of different things that were started. Geronimo was a project that I was, co-founder of, and of course, Tommy towards the end of that time. And in the 10 years that Apache was a Java EE licensee, which is 2004, 2013, we shipped 3 versions of Java EE, from 1.4 to 5 to 6, both Geronimo and Tommy. We, across Apache, implemented more than 30 specifications. We released in that time frame about 182 spec jars. This was across 12 projects. And in aggregate, we did about 541 releases that implemented Java EE technology. And it was about 15,000 hours of testing. Now, actually, that last bullet is completely garbage because I don't really know what it was. That's just the time that we spent certifying Tommy in the year before it was released. So that was just on my personal credit card there in the EC2. So unfortunately, in 2013, our 10-year license expired. And Apache was unwilling to re-sign. Oracle would have absolutely given Apache another license to the TCK, but Apache had some reservations because of some bad history and decided not to renew. And so the net result is that we ended up spending the last 6 years without a TCK. So none of these projects that I mentioned at Apache had a TCK and the ability to go forward. And it wasn't through lack of trying. So I know Oracle tried very, very hard for 2 years to come to some sort of terms that Apache would accept. And eventually, after 2 years of us trying, we just sort of gave up. And then that brings us to today, which is basically this big, long gap where Apache's been without coverage of the TCK is over officially as of this very day. So today, with all of the Jakarta EE 8 releases and truly open source TCKs, Apache can basically pick up where it left off in 2013. And this is amazing news. And so, this open source TCK stuff, it is a big deal. People talk about it, and I know you may not see it and feel it as consumers, but it is the thing that drives the ecosystem. And truly, for the first time in this entire time, Apache's Java EE and Jakarta EE efforts are whole again. And so, just a very big thank you to Oracle for bringing us this far. A very big thank you to the working group for getting us into this shape. We're actually in a better shape than we were in the previous several years. So in the past, when we were doing all this testing and releasing all these 541 projects, the hardware and the continuous integration system that we had used was completely private. We couldn't share the TCK with anybody. Now we can do that all openly. And I ask you, what kind of open source project does all their building in private? Are they truly open? The answer is kind of not really. We had to have private issue trackers. If there was a problem where a TCK test failed and we wanted to file an issue about it, we couldn't put those details out in public. And now we can actually do all of that work out in public in front of everybody. And also, the roadmap was completely a secret. If people said, "Hey, how far are you to getting complete?" We couldn't tell them anything. We could only tell them we either passed or we failed, and that was it. We couldn't say, "Oh, well, we're having these issues in this area. Come help." No, it was just, that's it, just completely silent on the roadmap. Until you were finished, you couldn't say a word. And now all of this stuff can be done collectively together as a community, which is amazing. So I think if you think of what we accomplished on the Apache side with just getting a license, imagine what can be accomplished when everything is completely open. We can finally implement these things in front of everybody, with everybody, openly as a community. In fact, what we were doing before was largely proprietary software development, even though we were shipping under an open source license. And so we're going to make a little announcement today is that, for the first time ever possible, we're basically going on the Tomitribe side, we're going to donate TCK testing resources to the Apache projects that implement Jakarta EE. So running the TCK takes a very long time. It's a huge amount of resources. Apache is not set up for it. So for any projects that would like it, we will be running the TCK for them and hosting infrastructure in our Amazon EC2 setup. We hope that this makes projects faster and can get caught up and
Okay, so I think it's just not a great day for David and his connections. I can see his slide deck though. I would actually suggest we move on because we have a few more keynotes to go through. So at this point, I will invite Ian on the screen and share his screen. And I apologize to David for cutting him off, but we have to move on, and we'll make sure that we either share the slide deck or actually do a proper recording and provide that for you guys. So Ian, if you want to share your screen, that would be fantastic. In the meanwhile, I will invite Steve Millidge as well on the screen, so he will be next.
Thank you, Tanya. Can you hear me and can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can hear you and I can see the screen.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And I think David was having quite a good day, actually. I thought his message came through loud and clear until we lost him. It's one of the great things about working in the Jakarta EE Steering Committee is all the great people working together to do things like David was just talking about. I'm Ian Robinson. I work for IBM. I'm an IBM Distinguished Engineer. I'm the Chief Architect of WebSphere and the WebSphere technologies. So Java EE has historically been very, very important to me and to us. For myself personally, my history with Java EE goes back pretty much to the beginning. I was a spec lead of a JSR that only had 2 digits in it. So that gives you an idea of how long ago that was. Java EE as a basis for Jakarta EE is so important to IBM as a business. WebSphere as a software business makes us $1 billion of revenue. So it's something that is very, very important to IBM. It's something that we have more WebSphere software in production than just about any other IBM software offering other than operating systems. We have tens of thousands of customers running over 1 million applications on WebSphere related technology, whether that's traditional WebSphere or I used to talk about Liberty as being our newer WebSphere runtime, but WebSphere's been around for 21 years. Liberty's been around for 7 years now, so it's not a new runtime anymore, but it is a lightweight runtime, a lightweight Java EE runtime, and it's one of the things that has made me terribly frustrated about Java EE over the years is the historical suggestion that Java EE is a monolithic architecture. It arguably, at some point in its history, it could have been accused of being a monolithic architecture. But for about the last 10 years, probably since Java EE6, Java EE has served the industry pretty well, in my opinion, as a technology that applications, platforms that implement it have been able to move with the times until a few years ago pretty rapidly. And it provides a foundational set of technologies that are alive and well and at the heart of our cloud and our customers' clouds today. What I think is what I think has become challenging for Java EE is not the fact that it's perceived to be a monolithic architecture. It's only as monolithic as the implementations of the technology. The thing that I found challenging and IBM customers found challenging with Java EE in recent years was the rate and pace at which it was able to keep up with the demands of the applications that had historically been running on it. So, we've been moving for the last few years into a cloud-based world, putting stuff into containers, running them in cloud platforms like Kubernetes. And Java EE wasn't really speaking to that community anymore. It wasn't that the technology wasn't a good basis for running applications in that environment. It's just that the platform started to grind to a halt. This is a problem for those of us who have built solutions on that technology, and it's not something that we wanted to lose. So first of all, with the evolution of microprofile at the Eclipse Foundation, the ability to be able to move the technology platform ahead by building new capabilities that speak to microservice applications, but in a way that reuses Java EE technology, is a valuable thing for us to do. It was, I think, something that kept Java EE interesting for a couple of years and continues to keep it interesting now by introducing the ability to add health checks and metrics and so on in a standard fashion to microservices. But more than anything else, I think it was it showed us the way with Java EE that bringing the platform to the Eclipse Foundation, opening up the community to a much broader church of community implementers, and that's in terms of the sorts of things that David and Mike were speaking about earlier on, how the specifications are hosted and made available, how the TCKs are hosted and made available, how implementers of the platform can get hold of the technology much more easily, like the Apache Software Foundation, enables us to have a far broader engagement that can push the technology further forward at a rate and pace at which we want to actually consume and use it. So I'm particularly excited about the fact that in IBM, our Liberty technology is something that we've been trying to keep up to pace with microprofile. So every time there has been a microprofile release, Liberty, the Open Liberty community, has been one of the first implementations of that microprofile release. Well, Jakarta EE 8 was released today, and we've been working very hard behind the scenes, along with our colleagues on the Glassfish team, and indeed the Wildfly team. And so am I sharing my screen at the moment? There we go. Yeah, I am. I'm really excited about the fact that on the very, very first day Jakarta EE 8 was released, we've certified Open Liberty to Jakarta EE so that an Open Liberty developer now can get the benefits of both Jakarta EE 8 and all of microprofile. I think these two things together are going to show the way forward for the Java platform. And my expectation in terms of what's coming next in future releases of Jakarta EE will be heavily influenced by the work that we've been doing together in microprofile on the way. So thank you.
Thank you, Ian. So Steve, if you want to take it over. So we have Steve Millidge from Payara, and then I will pull our next speaker into the mix as well. So Steve, why don't you take it away?
Okay, I'll just share my screen. It's going to go.
Great, thank you.
Do you have it or not?
It's not sharing yet.
Okay, I'll have to do it this way. Is that sharing?
Yep, that's great.
Okay, it's not sharing the actual presentation. No problem. So I'm just going to really talk briefly around Payara and who we are. So and our relationship with Jakarta EE. So Payara are strategic members of Jakarta EE working group, which means that we've been working since the beginning on getting Jakarta EE 8 out the door for today. The working group is where a lot of the business side of the work goes on, a lot of the specification creation, the certification. And we've been strategic members since the beginning and since the migration of Java EE over to Jakarta EE. So we're also PMC members of EE4J. So EE4J is the section of the Eclipse Foundation where the actual technical work is done. That's where all the projects sit. And we are also PMC members of that. And one of the key things is that Payara are actually a new vendor in this ecosystem. So it may not seem like that, let's say, seem like it for many people, but we've only been around as a company since 2016. So we're only just into our third year, or our fourth year now. And what Jakarta EE enables us to do as a new vendor is that due to the opening up of all the TCKs, the source code, the specifications, and the projects, is that as a new vendor, we can get access to those open source TCKs and certify our products against those. This is a big thing that Jakarta EE is bringing, essentially. This allows new vendors to join the ecosystem, and we'd like to see many more. And we hope that more vendors joining Java EE, Jakarta EE, will build out and drive forward Jakarta EE. So as part of being a strategic member, we've been heavily involved in flat out and getting the binaries out and tested and into Glassfish. So our project team has been migrating all the projects over, working in a number of projects, including JSF and concurrency, to actually build out and certify those. And now that's all out there and all that work's done. What we need to do now is move forward into driving Jakarta EE. So one of the things we are keen to see is that we want to move forward very rapidly on evolving Jakarta EE to meet cloud native requirements. We want to move forward fast on the namespace issue and help migrate all the Java EE APIs over to the new Jakarta EE namespace. So our project team is behind that and will be putting in people and resources and technology to help move that forward. The other thing, on Jakarta EE is we are very much committed to the concept of a Jakarta EE runtime. One of the main reasons that we created Payara was to take the concept of what was a Java application server and move that concept and to take developers onto new platforms like cloud, like container platforms, IoT platforms. So when we created Payara, our vision was really to reshape what people's concept of an application server is and enable us to leverage and manage runtime, provide monitoring and scalability and thread management and all the things that a managed runtime can do, but try and take that and make it work on lots of different architectures. So basically we take we take the product and make it work best for different architectures, and you as developers can concentrate just on the Jakarta EE APIs. So we have two products that we deliver. One is Payara Server, which is a standard application server in its model. It has a domain, it has managed servers, and that was derived from the upstream Eclipse Glassfish. And our intention is to certify Payara 5193, which is one that was just released in August, as a compatible implementation. We're not there yet because our release schedule doesn't line up with the Jakarta EE release schedule, so we released 5193 in August, and now we're just building out all the test infrastructure to make that run the TCKs and make that compatible. So what we're trying to do is make sure that is repeatable, because we release our product every month to customers and every 3 months to the community. So we want to make sure every product going forward is Jakarta EE compatible. So we're building that release infrastructure out on EC2 at the moment. So our intention is to release Payara Server first. Payara Micro is our container platform, and we're looking to release that after Payara Server when we work out the best way to integrate that with the TCK. The TCK has quite a traditional test model deploying applications, so we need to adapt that to Payara Micro. So we see that following from Payara Server, and that should happen very soon. And after that, we are basically going to release every version as being a compatible implementation, and then our team will be working heavily within the Jakarta EE working group to move forward to Jakarta E9 and Jakarta E10 and beyond. So that's all I have to say today. So we're really looking forward to moving Jakarta EE forward and taking developers onto new platforms and new architectures.
Thank you so much, Steve. So I will be moving on to our next keynote speaker, and that is Will Lyons from Oracle. Will, if you want to take it over, and I will also invite them our following speaker.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Very good. So how do I share the screen?
So you just hover over your picture.
Yeah.
And then a little pop-up menu will show up.
Mm-hmm.
And in there should be share screen.
Okay, can you see this?
Let's give it a sec or two. Not yet.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you, Tanya.
Oh, we don't see it yet, Will. So probably we don't see you sharing the screen. So if you can try again.
How about now? No?
No. So you are hovering. Oh, there you go.
There we go. Super.
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Fantastic. So, thank you, Tanya, for setting up this event, and thank all of you for joining. Looks like we have 1,168 attendees, which is quite an impressive number. So, thank you all for joining. So, today's a big day. We have released Jakarta EE 8, and as of today, it becomes the new standard for enterprise Java. Some of this has already been discussed, but I'll reiterate that Jakarta EE 8 is fully compatible with Java EE 8, so it's using the same APIs, using the JavaX namespace, the TCKs, which are used to certify compatible implementations, are fully compatible with the Java EE 8 TCKs. We've got a new branding process for certifying compatible implementations, and all of this is a result of a cross-community process that's been created at the Eclipse Foundation. Eclipse Glassfish, which is based on the former Oracle Glassfish sources, which have been donated or contributed to the Eclipse Foundation, is one of the compatible implementations. And Ian has already spoken to Open Liberty, which is also certified as compatible. And all the vendors listed have all announced their intent to support Jakarta EE 8 with compatible implementations going forward. So we've got a very healthy vendor community and a baseline for enterprise Java to evolve in the future. I just want to say a big thank you to everybody. It's been a long road, and I think that needs to be acknowledged. We Oracle and our partners announced our intent to move Java EE to the Eclipse Foundation 2 years ago. Since that time, we've created the EE4J project, which hosts much of the sources that Oracle has contributed. We formed the Jakarta EE Working Group, which provides oversight for the entire effort, which provides funding for the effort. And also, we've created project infrastructure for hosting sources, for building implementations, and for running tests. So there's a lot of work that's gone on to make that happen. Oracle has invested a lot in contributing Glassfish sources, the sources of the TCKs, which David was discussing earlier, and the actual specification documents themselves, so the Java EE8 specification documents, which are now being reused in Jakarta EE. And together with our partners in this undertaking, we've defined a specification process. And now finally we've delivered the first Jakarta EE release. So I want to thank all who've contributed to this. Certainly Mike Milinkovich and the team at the Eclipse Foundation, IBM, Red Hat, Payara, Tomitribe, Fujitsu, and the other members of the Jakarta EE Working Group, and you community members who have participated. It's really been incredible to see how once we got all the foundation created, how we've been able to deliver this release. So I really appreciate the work that everyone has contributed to this. This is a slide that I've been presenting for quite some time now. That it has been our intent to deliver Java EE technology, and with sponsorship from the community, to create a new brand and a new process which is flexible and is open and is compatible. And we've done all of those things. We have an open process, we have a compatible set of specifications, and we have a process for evolving this going forward. One thing I want to emphasize, it's been a long road delivering this release. I do not expect, and you should not expect, that this will be a 2-year process going forward. Much of the time that's been invested over the past 24 months has been spent in technology transfer, both contributing technology and working out the licensing terms, etc., associated with that. Once all of that has been put in place, it's really taken the community only a few months to actually deliver the new Jakarta EE8 specification. So I think there's been a lot of upfront investment in this process, and the Jakarta EE version crank should be much easier to turn going forward. So I hope you will see that, and I hope you will continue to be active participants, and we look forward to your contributions to the process. Just a word about Oracle and Jakarta EE8, and we are in our quiet period now, so forgive the standard Oracle safe harbor statement. Oracle remains an active member of the working group and is playing the lead on several project teams. We leverage Jakarta EE technology today in Helidon, which provides an implementation of microprofile. And I'm expecting a new release of Helidon soon. We also intend to support Jakarta EE8 in a new version of WebLogic Server, and we expect to have more news on that very soon. We're actively investing in supporting both of these technologies and investing in the underlying container and Kubernetes technologies themselves. We're seeing a tremendous amount of interest in cloud native Java, running Java applications in standard cloud neutral infrastructure, and this is something we're very much interested in and we're going to continue to invest in. And there's a lot of information on this topic coming up at Oracle Code One and Open World next week. We're going to be talking about Helidon, about WebLogic Server, about Jakarta EE, and containers and Kubernetes. So this is a significant investment for us going forward. So what's next? We have a process in place to support evolving the technology. We've got the technical infrastructure, we have people, we have a specification process, and you can participate in this. There's some key issues that we need to address, and really it's you, members of the community. Excuse me for my messages that I'm getting via Slack. I'm going to close that.
So we're live. When we're live, things are happening on the fly. So, you know.
Sorry about that. So example issues that we need to look at are we need to move for new functionality that gets added to Jakarta. We need to move from the Java X namespace to the Jakarta namespace. There's active discussion within the community about whether to do this all at once, which has been talked about as the Big Bang approach versus incremental approaches. So that's something we look forward to hearing your input on. There's been a great deal of discussion about profiles, whether we need more profiles in addition to full platform and web profile. Do we need a profile which doesn't include some of the legacy technologies or technologies which will not evolve in the future? Do we need a profile which is aligned with micro profile, and how do we align those two efforts? And certainly within each API, we need to determine how the individual APIs that comprise Jakarta EE will need to evolve. And just generally, there's a whole host of issues around providing cloud-native Java. How do we evolve the technology for microservices, integration with Kubernetes, and other technologies that are being used to build microservices applications. So these are all ripe topics for debate. There's lots of ways for you to engage. There's all the resources provided on this page, resources you can access to learn more, to become a committer, become a member of the Jakarta EE community. So I believe you're going to be sharing these slides in some form, Tanya, or I hope you will be. And so hopefully these links will be useful resources to you. Thank you all for joining, and we look forward to your participation.
Thank you so much, Will. And yes, all of the slides will be shared with the audience, and we'll follow up on that. So let me see, Kenji Kazumura from Fujitsu is about to appear on screen. It seems that he may be also having some connectivity issues. So let's just hang in there. Well, I will let you go, and you can have a coffee or tea from your JakartaOne Livestream mug.
I get mine at Dunkin'.
Oh my goodness.
That's the US thing.
And we will give a few minutes to Kenji to dial in. So hang in with me just a little bit, everyone. And I'll try to re-invite Kenji on the screen. He did appear at some brief point, but it seems that internet connection on his end is a little bit problematic. And we'll work on that particularly for the later on for the steering committee panel, and making sure that we get a little bit better connection. If we don't get Kenji on the screen in the next couple of minutes, then we will continue at the top of the hour with our next session. So we will give you just a couple of minutes break then. So Kenji, let me try once again. It doesn't seem like it's going to be working. So Kenji, I will connect with you offline to figure out the connection issues with regards connection issues. So we can have a better connectivity for our steering committee panel session. But for everyone else, thank you so much, and we will see you in our next session. I will end the broadcast at this point. Thank you. Bye.